Welcome back. I am so excited. I bet you're excited too. There are some things you'll need to do before you're ready to start actually spinning yarn. Then there are a few things you need to gather for our lessons. As we go through this list, I'll explain why you need them. First of all, and probably the most obvious thing, you will need a spinning wheel of some sort. As I said in the introduction, there are many ways you can get one to work on, try on, practice on. But whatever wheel you get, and there are many different types of wheels. There are so many different types of wheels. Electric wheels, there's just so much to learn. So for today, I'm gonna assume that we're going to use a treadle wheel. We should talk about the different types of wheels just a tiny bit. I've heard people say sometimes that single drive wheels are better for certain things or can be adjusted more precisely. And then I've also heard other people say double drive wheels, the same exact things. My experience has been that those aren't true. It's more a matter of having a learning curve to learn how to adjust each. I have both. I do not feel like one is better than the other at different things. Some of them are outfitted to do certain things better, meaning maybe they have a lace weight flyer that'll go super fast. That's a little different. And you can buy a lace weight flyer for either type of wheel and do the same thing. So I do not believe that one is better at anything than the other necessarily. It's more a function of people learning to adjust a different type of wheel. And for this class, I will be using my Shocked Matchless. That is a convertible wheel, so you can use it as a double or a single drive wheel. I have it set up right now to use as a double drive, so that's what I'm going to do. Whatever wheel you plan to use, I would suggest that you go online or get your book out, or both, and learn everything you can possibly learn about your wheel. Some of the things I would suggest you learn are, where are the places that it might need to get oiled, if it gets oiled at all. There are some types of wheels that do not get oil and should not get oil. You also need to learn how to adjust the tension. Tension means how strong the yarn is pulling from you onto the bobbin. You need to know how to adjust that because, especially in the beginning, tension is going to be extremely important. And I often see new students with way too much tension on their yarn, and it's called the uptake. So I often see students with way too much tension, and it is very frustrating for them. It kind of causes this tug of war dynamic in the beginning with your wheel that it shouldn't be there. So please make sure you learn how to adjust your tension. It is important that you learn a little bit about how the yarn is taken up onto the bobbin on your type of wheel. Just very basically, with a double drive wheel, what happens is there's actually a band that goes around twice in a figure eight, and it spins your bobbin faster than it spins the entire flyer. So this is for a double drive wheel. What happens is your drive band is on in a figure eight, and it goes over this piece, which is called the whirl, and this groove in your bobbin. So the groove in your bobbin should always be smaller than the groove on your whirl. What's important about this type of wheel is that when the drive band is going around, it's in both of these grooves, it's in a figure eight, and the bobbin will spin faster than the entire flyer assembly. The one in the groove on the whirl is going to spin your entire flyer assembly. So if the bobbin is spinning faster, it creates a little bit of tug on your yarn to pull it onto the bobbin. So if you have too much tension, it's going to pull really hard against your drafting. And if you don't have enough tension, you'll keep drafting and it'll just keep building up twist and not going onto your bobbin. So you do need to learn how to control the tension on your wheel. On a single drive wheel, it's a little different. There's a brake band that goes over your bobbin groove, and then there is a single drive band that goes over your flyer. So your whole flyer spins with the drive band and the bigger wheel as it goes around. And then there's a brake on your bobbin that's creating some drag. That drag is going to control your bobbin, slow it down while the flyer is spinning really fast, and pull your yarn onto your bobbin. That's as deep as we're gonna go into the spinning wheels for this lesson. There is so much. I could do a whole class on them. For this class, that's as much as we're gonna go into the spinning wheels. It's very important that you learn how to adjust your tension, how to just take care of your wheel in general. Spinning has a lot to do with muscle memory, and it's a little bit, in a way, like driving a car or a motorcycle. After a while and over time, your body learns how to do these things without you even really thinking hard about that. And then your body will actually learn to adjust what you're doing to create the yarn that you want to do. But it takes time, just like learning to drive a car or a motorcycle. It takes time and it takes practice. I suggest that new spinners just commit to spinning 10 or 15, maybe 20 minutes a day, but not too much more than that for the first month. And then take pictures throughout your journey. At the end of that first 30 days, you may not get to your wheel 7 days a week. Maybe you'll only get there 5 days a week, but that's still a lot of practice sessions. And by the end, if you look where you were at the beginning to where you are at the end, you'll be shocked. There are a few other things that you need besides a wheel for this class. I suggest you get some commercial yarn that you don't mind ruining and probably throwing away, because we're going to use this to practice feeding into the wheel, practice the muscle memory, and also it will help you start understanding how the process works, how the twist is built up, all those things. So you do need some commercial yarn. Any kind will do, but again, I suggest you use something you don't mind losing from your stash. You will need some sort of hook. This is a true orifice hook. It is used to pull the yarn from the bobbin and the flyer out into your hands, so you will need some sort of hook. But frequently, if I don't have one of these very handy, I will just grab a crochet hook out of my little bag. So you can use a crochet hook for this. Last, you will need something to spin. I do have a few breeds that I usually recommend to new spinners, and I recommend them because I believe they're good for new spinners to learn with, but also they're not hard to find in most cases. This is from a breed called a Corriedale sheep. This is one that I think is a good breed to start with. I also recommend Blueface Leicester. It's sometimes called BFL, and Romney. All of them have longer staples. We'll be talking about the staple when we start spinning a little bit more. All of them have longer staples, and they're easier to find in general pretty much anywhere. And that longer staple does make them easier to learn with. But for this class, you do want to look for something called top or comb top, because it can also sometimes come in a form called roving. That's something you should and can tackle later, but for these purposes, I do recommend that you start out with comb top. I think it's just a little bit easier for a new spinner. Now, when I'm filming this, it is fall, so I picked a bit of a Halloween colorway, but you can use whatever colors are your favorite. You will also need a little bit of this commercial yarn to tie a leader onto your bobbin, but we'll get to that later too. So that's it. That's all you need to take this class. You need a wheel to practice on, you need an orifice hook, you need some commercial yarn, and you need something to spin. In the next lesson, we're going to start developing that muscle memory I mentioned.